I want to give my heartfelt gratitude to Derbyshire for the patronage towards the channel. Sythis Harvest's Hand versus the Wise Mothman, Sythis, and Massacre Girl. Massacre Girl is not a good fit for us, but hopefully we can get some Enchantress stuff going before she goes off, so let's try this. Got access to a couple of Enchantresses. Primeval Bounty is just going to have to make its way into the bin, unfortunately. Another 6-drop we draw into with Sun Titan. Need to start seeing mana. Jack Medallion discounts the black spells for Massacre Girl, so the turn after he cracks this, and then on turn 4 he's got Massacre Girl online if he wants. He'll need to see some 1 toughness creatures enter play though for it to be relevant. We see the next Sythis and Talisman of Curiosity for the Wise Mothman. Hopefully we draw into a 3rd land for the Enchantress so that we can curve out. Our opponent sneaks out a Mox Amber as well. Otherwise, if we don't get into a land, we'll try and draw into one with Sheltered by Ghosts and try and hurt the mana of the black player. Well, we've got into some ramp at least with the Overgrowth, but gonna have to use the Sheltered by Ghosts to try and make the land for the turn. So gain a life and draw a card for the first time with our commander, and still not getting into a land. I think we just have to give up on the Finale of Devastation, unfortunately, because it could be useful later on with something like the Hallowed Haunting, but obviously we just need to desperately get into the mana at this point. As we thought, the Myriad Landscape is going to make 4 lands for the Massacre Girl, so if he makes a land next turn he can still get his commander in. A Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest, so an unusual Sanctum deck for the Sythis player. We see the Great Mothman setting up for his mill with a Bloodchief Ascension. Luckily no one's really losing life yet, so should have time with that thing. And, well, bit more mana at least, but really missing lands now. Probably going to mill one now to the Radiation. Yep, right off the top. Was a tap land at least. Let's go Fertile Ground onto a Savannah. So again, not drawing into a land, Ajani's chosen this time. Genesis Chamber has been milled, which is good. That would provide the 1 toughness that Massacre Girl needs to see. A Blade of the Bloodchief, ready to buff her up massively. And a Mimic Vat, ready to see the creatures die. Luminarch Ascension, milled by the Sythis player, so some good mills here so far. The other Sythis player doing a lot better than us, and able to make a Jukai Naturalist, discounting the enchantments, and a Mesa Enchantress. So we'll see one good Enchantress player this game at least. That is a Power Fist, and he does have a Flying Commander, so that will be something to be wary of. Currently a 5/5. The attacker goes in at the biggest threat at the table, seemingly, so far, and that is the other Sythis player. Noteworthy he's got Metalcraft for the Mox Amber now, so can tap it for mana. But the Wise Mothman is now a 10/10 with Trample and Flying thanks to the Power Fist. And Bloodchief Ascension gets its first counter. Right, turn 5, can we see a land? No, we can't. So we're going to have to rely on our enchantments. Overgrowth will have to go onto the Lush Portico here. Milled a Greater Auramancy, it wasn't a land at least. Epic Struggle goes down as well. Alright, and thanks to the card draw from Sythis, we finally see another land. Can use that as an excuse to get down a tap land here. We did have to lose some more life to the Marsh Flats there, so unfortunately Bloodchief Ascension gets its second counter on it, so it only needs 1 more to start making the mill become relevant. Suppose I could have waited to crack the Marsh Flats because it was tapping for green anyway, and yeah, we could have waited for another trigger from this to be on the stack and then cracked it. Anyway, we see a Caged Sun from the mono black player, so he's going to have at least 10 mana next turn. He's got a Maze of Ith as well, which helped him cast that, thanks to it tapping for green. Mana doubler here as well, Mirari's Wake. May well be worth going for artifacts and big creatures next turn. It plays into the Enchantress player, but I suppose we're destined to get into a mirror match here anyway. Wild Growth onto a land there. We'll draw 2 cards as well. A Doubling Season as well. Maybe we need the other players to help take out this Sythis player. Some discards here, including Nykthos, surprisingly, and Brushland. Had to discard to hand size. And the Wise Mothman, currently a 12/12. May well be able to get rid of the Sythis player all by himself, which would put us in a much better position. A Vexing Radgull and Corpsejack Menace has been milled. So now this is a 13/13. And there is Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. Still only 2 counters on the Bloodchief Ascension. but it's going to be online by the end of this term. You can actually wait until the end step to crack fetches and stuff into this, I've just thought, so because it triggers at the end step, the time for it to trigger has already been and gone by the time you're cracking fetches in the end step, so that would have been better. Does continue to go after that other Sythis player, which he kind of has to. He needs 3 more power at the moment in order to take him out. And as we see at the end step, the final counter on the Bloodchief Ascension doesn't manage to take out Sythis. He's currently teetering at 18 points of commander damage, so we need to be careful not to look like too much of a threat here. Another land is good, and we see ourselves a Soul Snare. And because that went into the bin, the Bloodchief Ascension going to deal its first bit of drain. So let's go for the Sythis Champion, and then we can go Seal of Cleansing and hopefully dissuade this player from swinging in towards us. In fact, we can afford the Argothian Enchantress as well. Just need to hope that this guy doesn't come in to one-shot us, because he's got 27 points of loyalty at the moment. So upon casting the Seal of Cleansing, we get to draw a couple of cards, and then Sythis Champion will trigger upon entry. So we're finally, by turn 6, set up a little bit, but we may well have painted a target on our head. I mean, the other Sythis player is drawing a lot of cards, and he's facing a huge Wise Mothman, so if he hasn't got into any removal by now, then it's pretty unlucky. Some more mill, of course, from the radiation, so we've got in the bin now, there's a Snow Swamp, Dousing Dagger, and a Villis. Gets drained for 4. Heartless Summoning is going to discount his creatures, and they all get -1/-1, so that means that he only needs to see 2 toughness, 1/2 toughness creature in play now. I mean, we played the Argothian Enchantress into it anyway, so this is really going to play into the hands of the Wise Mothman, assuming that he gets down his Massacre Girl here. And he does, so pretty much everything is going to get wiped out here. But we do have the Sun Titan in hand at least. This assumes that we're even going to get another turn. And it's not just cards entering the graveyard from the library, it's from anywhere, so we're getting drained for 2 for these creatures dying as well. So a load of Blade of the Bloodchief triggers. The counters from this go onto the creature that it's equipped to, and not onto the equipment itself, so this not quite as good, unless you can equip at instant speed. So after all that has done resolving, we see underneath the Mimic Vat a Jukai Naturalist, and he activates the Mimic Vat in order to get a discount on an enchantment maybe. Although again, maybe he wanted this so that he could make a 1 toughness creature at will, because it does get the debuff with the Heartless Summoning now. 1/1 swings in at us. Diabolic Intent, deciding to sacrifice the token he just made in order to tutor for a card. Now we're not sure what he tutored for, of course, but just saw him play what looks like an enchantment. Nope, an equipment, the Vorpal Sword. +2 to power and death touch, and then for 8 mana, when it deals combat damage to a player, they lose the game. Sythis mills a Renata this time, and has made his way down to 16 thanks to the Bloodchief Ascension. Journey to Nowhere, you assume, has to be going on to the Wise Mothman. A Deadly Rollick in response goes on to the Massacre Girl, which he wants to recast anyway. And then a Felidar Retreat is going to start getting some chump blockers into play, you have to assume. Actually 2 tokens thanks to the doubling season. Manages to replay his commander again. Authority of the Consuls going to have our artifacts and enchantments, or artifacts and creatures, enter tapped. And down to 4 cards in hand, or 5 after the card draw, and Awakening Zone. That has the mono black player scoop for some reason. Oh my god. And now the player that was actually in a really good spot decides to quit as well, so of the 2 games I've played so far, I think I've blocked 4 players. So we'll just have to see if we get a decent 1v1 going. The Wise Mothman re-enters play. We haven't taken any commander damage yet, thankfully. Tyvar reanimating something. Went for his Winding Constrictor to put more plus counters onto his Wise Mothman. Okay, now we're getting into the lands, that's good. Let's see what we mill, because I think we're going Sun Titan this turn to get our Enchantresses going again. Bloodchief Ascension still online, of course. So upon entry, Sun Titan can grab us back the Sythis Champion. We've got plenty of targets. Soul Snare could be a good one as well. Argothian Enchantress, not as worried about getting down now that the Massacre Girl has decided to quit. Sheltered by Ghosts, yeah, we've got lots of good targets here, but Sythis Champion cares about the entry of enchantments, so we'll go for that. And then if we play Boseiju as a land, we've got a 3-drop available with Teferi's Protection maybe. And so now we're just holding the Swift Reconfiguration and a tap land, I think. We've obviously got the Seal of Cleansing available to us as well. My Alert Queen will give us 2 rad counters. The Power Fist being equipped onto the commander, so we can wait until the attack phase here and then throw a Swift Reconfiguration onto this. I don't know if we're going to go for Beseiju or not onto something. Are we best just playing it as a land next turn? I don't think we're all that worried about him attacking and giving us a rad counter, so I want to encourage him to attack him with this thing as well. Although he's probably not going to into the Sun Titan, is he? So we might as well take fewer rad counters here. Go Swift Reconfiguration onto the Wise Mothman. It will still have its abilities, but they'll have to crew it every time they want to attack. And obviously it removes the attack this turn. So that means we get another card draw with the Citizen Champion. If we get a land here, we might be tempted to go Beseiju onto something. Alright, Serra's Sanctum tempts me to leave the Seal of Cleansing in play for now. Oh, we actually can't afford this, can we, anyway, because, yeah, no legendary creatures in play. So in that case, let's go for the tap land. Don't suppose there's any harm in holding on to Beseiju so that we can actually blow up the now equipment commander over here. Even when it's animated, it'll be an artifact, so we could use it that way. And another land for us. We definitely know that we're getting down our 1 of 3 game changers in the Serra's Sanctum. Okay, a Mirari's Wake, a Quarantine Field, and a Karmic Justice are what we mill. And Bloodchief Ascension going to deal 6 to us here. Yeah, that's pretty unlucky. I think we do need to see the back of this sooner than later. But I wanted to keep Seal of Cleansing in play for the Serra's Sanctum. Tap that down for a bit of extra mana first. Anyway, plus counter goes on to the Crab Mutant. And he does manage to draw an extra card with that. Actually 2 counters. So it's an 8/8, which means it's good against our Sun Titan. Maybe it wouldn't be the worst time for us to go after big creatures and artifacts. Although it means Sun Titan goes down, so we swing in with that first and then Austere Command maybe. How much are we tapping this for mana? 4 mana. So let's swing in first of all. Maybe should have gone for Sigil of the Empty Throne to make an angel first, but anyway, let's try and get rid of his commander, or his planeswalker even. Just doing this to get a trigger. We obviously know that the Sun Titan is going to go down regardless. Client's really lagging, it's making it difficult to follow. My pea-brain mind wanders when this happens. Find it hard to concentrate. My eyes just kind of start wandering around the room, waiting for it to start working. Alright, so that triggers. We will grab, what did we say, the Sheltered by Ghosts. That enters and is placed onto the Citizen Champion, which will trigger itself for a card draw and a plus counter. I can get rid of the Bloodchief Ascension, so we can still keep hold of the Seal of Cleansing this way. Alright, and we're getting our token generators going now, which is good. I think we need to try and put the final nail in the coffin of our opponent by getting rid of his artifacts first, and then we can really start going off next turn. So of course Sun Titan is dealt with. Could always keep our Sun Titan in play with Teferi's Protection, but I don't think it really matters. We've got more reanimation in the deck for our enchantments. Alright, so this taps for 5 mana now, so we can go for Sigil of the Empty Throne. 3, 4, 5, 6. We won't have enough for Teferi's Protection, so I think we just have to go for the Austere Command first. Yeah, Austere Command first. Then we've got 3, 5, 6 and 7 mana, so that's Archon of Sun's Grace and Teferi's Protection, I think. Should be fine. And that lands, so that should turn the tide quite nicely, especially when we've got a couple of life linkers available to us. So throw out Archon of Sun's Grace, ready to start making a bunch of tokens, and sit back on Teferi's Protection. And Urborg and Yavimaya means that all the lands can tap for green or black. Arcane Signet to replace his talisman. Inexorable Tide, we didn't get any poison counters landed on us previously, so shouldn't be too worried about that, I don't think. And this thing has been buffed up to a 6/7, so he's able to swing in. I think we're safe. He's only got 1 card in hand. I think we're safe to just crack the Teferi's Protection when we're at such a low amount of life. And hopefully we can start refilling our hand next turn, or get Sythis down and start making some tokens finally. Decides to untap this thing with the Tyvar. And another land for us, so just get down the forest, I think. Our commander is 4 mana. I'd rather get that down first. Instead of making tokens, we'd rather get card draw. So that comes down and triggers us for a Pegasus token and a plus counter, as well as draw a card to the champion. And just so happen to draw into a Verduran Enchantress as well, so how much mana do we have? The Serra's Sanctum is 5 mana, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So I think I'd rather get down Verduran Enchantress, just completely playing to a board wipe here. And then it can be the Sigil of the Empty Throne, which will only be ready to start triggering next turn, but we'll get 4/4 Angels from that. For now we're going to draw 3 cards in total. And now we're starting to get flooded, of course. There's another enchantment for us though, so maybe we're going to make an Angel after all. Get another Pegasus token as well. Let's play Wild Growth onto a dual land. Make it tap for an additional green, as well as draw us cards and make tokens. And we've got a Wolfwillow Haven there as well, which we can play this turn also. So we're very much crafting a nice hand here, clearing all these lands off the top. And the size of the Sythis champion is now rivaling that of the Snake, a 7/8 versus a 6/7. Would we rather have Sylvan Library? Yeah, because we get to trigger it next turn then, don't we? So another Angel, more card draw, another Pegasus. Finally seen what an Enchantress deck is supposed to look like. And now we've got Eidolon of Blossoms, so if our opponent does manage to wipe the board, we've got another Enchantress to get down at least. There's plenty of them in the game now for some reason. And now we can finally go through to combat and take Archon of Justice in at Tyvar. And the Sythis champion has lifelink. We want to gain as much life as possible, so swing both of them in. Decides to block the Sythis champion. And we go back up to a much more healthy 26. A Nuclear Fallout, X is 5. Each creature gets twice -X/-X and X red counters, so all our stuff is going down here. No wonder our opponent was playing it out, but we've still got the token generators and the Enchantress, like I said, so we're not really all that worried about this either. It's kind of just delaying the inevitable, we hope. Does give him back his Bloodchief Ascension though. We have a Forest available to us here. Academy Rector would be good as well. We're going to draw into these, so put the Rector on top and the Ground Seal on top as well. Oh, actually I didn't account for the radiation. So apparently we're not going to draw into those at all. I didn't want to take life to the Bloodchief Ascension. If I can just avoid blowing this up, then that would be ideal. Anyway, drop a land for the turn. Let's go Eidolon of Blossoms. Get as many enchantments in play as possible before we tap down the Serra's Sanctum. And of course make Angels into this. And there is the Aura Shards, that's good. I think we can just drop that straight away, because any enchantment we play into it from now on will come down with a creature, so that will deal with all the stuff. Serra's Sanctum, tapping for 8 mana. So I think our commander's going to cost 6, which means we can go Hallowed Haunting and our commander, I think. Yeah, can do that quite comfortably. So cast our enchantment commander, triggers the Sigil for an Angel. The Angel enters, Aura Shards blows up our opponent's stuff, and he's just going to find it really hard to get out from underneath this. Sythis upon entry will get rid of the Inexorable Tide, and the Eidolon of Blossoms drew us into Utopia Sprawl, which we can get down pretty much for free. So let's just throw that onto the Savannah now and get all the same triggers again. Just going to overrun our opponent with Angels seemingly. Song of the Dryads ready to deal with his commander. And so now let's go for Hallowed Haunting. More tokens, more card draw. And now not only will this make creatures for us, but it gives all our stuff flying and vigilance. 2 mana, we'll go for Wolfwillow Haven onto a basic. And we've drawn into another Enchantress in Mesa Enchantress, so once again we can survive another board wipe quite comfortably. Making our first spirit token from the Hallowed Haunting, so a 2/2 flying vigilance. Alright, and our opponent decides to quit there. He obviously doesn't have anything in hand. He'd have to draw into some kind of mass enchantment and creature removal, which he's not likely to have. And even if he gets into something like River's Rebuke or Cyclonic Rift, something like that, we're quite easily going to rebuild every single time. A sketchy start for us, and I apologise for the random scoops, but that's Magic Online for you. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider liking and subscribing, as well as looking at Patreon if you want to support the channel financially and keep me around, because times are tough in Magic Online content creation. So any help you can give me there, even if it's only $1 a month, will be greatly appreciated. It all mounts up. If 10% of the subscribers gave only $1 a month, then it would really go a long way to unburdening my financial strain doing this channel. But anyway, entirely up to yourselves, of course. Only do it if you're able to. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. I'm TribalKai. Thank you for watching.